just for starters, Brad, you worked your 3 Belmont horses. Just go through the 3 works, if you will.
Yeah, Angel of Empire breezed first thing this morning. Breezed great. We had him in a 59 3/5. Good gallop out. It's probably always the best part of his work is probably the gallop out. It gives us the confidence to think he'll like a mile and a half. So yeah, he's doing great. He really, really is. Then we came back after the break. Hit Show worked on the outside of victory formation. Good move for him, steady. I think having him in a minute and 4/5, broke off steady enough and continued out around the turn with a nice gallop out. I think you had him 13 3 on the gallop out. But overall, solid move. Happy with him. Tapit Shoes, he broke off. He was on the inside of Bishop's Bay. They went 5/8 as well. I had them in a minute and 4 as well. Good gallop out from them. I think they were 13 1 or 2. Steady move. Probably broke off a little bit slower than Hit Show and Angel of Empire. Tapit Shoes, that is, and finished up in hand. Probably one of his better moves over the last month. He can be a touch inconsistent in his works, but very happy with what we saw from him.
I want to ask you about Tapit Shoes specifically to start, Brad. Very impressive runner-up in that stakes over at Oaklawn, showing you a lot. What have you seen, and what led to the decision to put him in here in the Belmont?
Well, immediately after the race at Oaklawn, we thought we would look at the Belmont. You kind of see how it was coming up, and I guess we saw enough to make a decision to run. And we got to obviously watch him first and foremost and how he's training and how he's doing, and we like what we've seen. Listen, he is a half to Cyberknife. He is by Tapit. Everybody knows Tapit's performed very well at Belmont or in the Belmont, and I think he's a horse that's moving forward. He does have to take a big jump forward, and listen, he's still a horse that mentally is getting better all the time. I think we saw a little bit of that this morning with his breeze. I think he's improving at the right time, and once again he has to step up. He did show the ability to be involved in the race early last time. I think that could be a benefit in the Belmont as well.
So that's showing you that you feel pretty confident putting him in the deep end of the pool, so to speak.
Yeah. No, we're definitely putting him in the deep end of the pool. Once again, we got to see if he can swim. I think he can. I just don't. We'll see.
You'll see.
He had, if you go through his charts, a line I hadn't seen a word that said he wandered. He wandered in a race. It said.
Well, he is a half to Cyberknife, and Cyberknife tend to wander a little bit early on in his career as well.
Yeah, so I think you put the blinkers on for his next race after that, maybe?
Maybe. I can't remember exactly.
But it's been like 2 races with blinkers. He was, third in an allowance race, maybe?
Yes,
then ran second.
He ran really well there at the fairgrounds, and then he was slated to run the first part of Keeneland. I wanted to give him just a little bit of time between that start I think he made in February and when we were hoping to run him the first part of April. I thought the timing was going to set up really well, and the allowance race at Keeneland didn't go. So I kind of found myself in no man's land, nowhere to run him. The race came up going a mile and an eighth at Oaklawn. Kind of zeroed in on it and thought, look, it's probably not the perfect spot, but it's a spot, and he was very close to getting it done. So we'll see how it goes.
Talk about the field, because this field sort of grew in the last few days, Brad. And once again, like the Derby, you and Todd Pletcher figure in to have a good amount of horses in this field. Yeah,
no, it's a good group. Very, very good group. I feel like it's one of the better Belmonts we've seen in a while. I mean, there's been some good Belmonts. I thought, obviously, Essential Qualities Belmont was really good. It was a good group of horses, but no, it's a good group. I think it's obviously you got Champion 2-year-old in there and Forte. Tapis Trice looks like a horse that should like the mile and a half. Red Route 1 looks like a horse that should like the mile and a half. We're hopeful that ours will like the mile and a half. So it's a good group of horses. The horse that beat us in the Peter Pan's running in there. So I think the best way to sum it up, it's pretty wide open. It's pretty well-balanced group of horses. There's no, probably Forte will be the favorite, I would imagine. Mm-hmm. But listen, he hasn't run in a while, and it's a mile and a half. It's a demanding track. It's a demanding distance, and see how it goes.
Talk about Angel of Empire's Derby, because when you watch the replay, I guess I didn't at first appreciate how fast he was flying at the end there. Yeah,
he finished up well and galloped out on even terms with the winner, and Yeah, it was a bit, I thought he'd actually be just a touch more involved earlier, but they did go so quick, and I don't, some couple people have asked me, where do you think Tapit Shoes will be in the race, and where do I think Angel of Empire will be? They probably won't be as far back in the Belmont as they were in the Derby. Hit Show was somewhat close, and listen, they're probably not going to go 45 and change in the Belmont. I think they'll be somewhat forwardly placed, and hopefully you got to get a good trip. I think you got to save some ground up there as well. Now, Hit Show was big around the Derby. I mean, he got actually very, very good trip from Manny Franco from the one hole. He stayed pretty steady all the way around there. Actually going up the backside, I thought he was really getting a great trip, or he did get a great trip. And he stayed on. I was hoping he'd obviously win it, but he did stay on, ran fifth, and it was a good race.
You referred to essential quality, a very good field. He had the class going into the race. I mean, Angel of Empire brings a lot of class in there. Forte with the most class, but
yeah,
and will be the favorite most likely.
Yeah, I think those two horses. Obviously, with Tapit Choice having won the Bluegrass is a great one. They're the most accomplished horses in the race, I would say. And then you got your next group with like the Peter Pan winner, a Hit Show being like winner of the Withers, and the group that's won the Grade 2s and Grade 3s. So there are Grade 1 winners in the group. And once again, I mean, I think it's a very well-balanced group of horses.
Hit Show, and he came into the Derby lightly raised. He runs a good fifth, and just his progression since that going into the Belmont.
Trained really well. He's had 3 moves. He had a good move this morning. Very happy with the way he looks physically. He hasn't regressed. He carries great flesh, puts a lot into his gallops. He's a good workhorse. Everything's been very positive with him leading up to the Derby and out of the Derby.